Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Then celebrate it with or without champagne.
Hello.
Live.
Hello.
We're back.
Yes,
Look
we're
at
back with Paulette. Yeah.
Yeah, Paulette is back especially. That's she's the important one. I'm not saying Lisa's not important. I'm just saying.
No, I'm good with that. Paulette is the important one.
Paulette's
I
back.
we could go with that.
Lisa, Lisa is the
yeah.
star of the show, really. So,
She
great
is
to be back as
100%.
always. All right, why's my
Yes.
mouse being all funny? Now what?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is just being extra today. It's being very weird.
Well, no one told me not to have 4 shows in one day, which is what
Well,
what
yeah.
I've done today. So, my loss. I'm here.
That's all right.
Lisa's
We're
here. So you can ignore me and just let them.
Hopefully, LinkedIn and StreamYard work well and captures the whole show this time. Last show it captured half or saved
Yeah,
half.
they said it's been
Hey,
catching half, wasn't it?
Yeah, they saved,
Oh my
30 seconds. Hello, Miss Pepperoni.
I
She calls me Cousin Annie. I don't know why she calls me Cousin Annie. I wish I knew, right?
That's a sign of respect and love.
Roti. There you go. So now Roti is here. Yes, she is. She's
No,
she's
I'm
hanging
Roti. I'm Roti.
Yeah.
She's Nan. It's Nan and Roti Enterprises, okay?
Yes.
We just love Indian food. Oh
Anyway,
gosh, and my
yes,
background is doing something weird.
it is us, Noni. Peter, I'm glad you're here as well. Welcome. all of you. You know how this works, my friends. If you're here, please drop us a comment so we can welcome you properly.
Yes.
So we do want to acknowledge your presence. Yes,
Hopefully everything shows up. Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, you had hundreds booked up, so you had hundreds signed up, so I expect they're all going to turn up.
I'm good. I'm hoping the comments show up so that we could address them. Yeah, because
it's probably also there's another remote running.
We don't
Normally, it's a room that overruns, and then
we don't care about rooms that overrun. No, this is an important room. If people don't realize
no, but
that,
what I'm saying is they'll turn up.
Oh yeah, there's another room that finishes just around now. Yeah.
Well,
lots of rooms on LinkedIn. That's okay.
And then they'll turn up.
So Tanique is here.
That's how it normally works.
Hi, Tanique.
Welcome, Tanique. She said, "Love this, Lisa." And Aaron's here as well. Aaron says, "As curious as I may need to be on this subject, there's no way I'm foregoing an entire birthday talking." That's a comment he made in the comments, I think. It was Aaron's birthday yesterday, I think, and then it's still celebrated for days.
Yes, it was.
So Alison got a new book out. So thanks for joining us. I forgot what the book's called.
Is she LinkedIn user?
Yeah. Hello, Lisa.
Yes,
Hi,
it's already coming up. It's already doing its thing. Okay. Oh gosh, I'm seeing Leslie. Hi, Leslie. Oh my gosh, yeah, and it's LinkedIn is just. I'm seeing her on my phone. I have to have multiple devices running.
I should get to it in a second. It's funny how you can see people on LinkedIn, but you can't see them on StreamYard.
Yeah.
I use the word funny, not funny, haha. It's more like funny, peculiar. Very peculiar. So Arise is Alison's new book, The Hummingbird Strategy for Mental Strength and Sustainable Success. So do check out her book. I certainly will. So I'm glad you're here. Right, Lisa, the mic is yours. I don't know why I'm talking so much.
Because you're welcoming the force. I'm seeing Linda. Hi, Linda.
Okay.
Nice to
welcome,
hear.
Linda. Okay, all right. So Pepperoni says, I will see Annie very soon in December. Yeah.
Oh.
You see Paulette
Oh
too.
my gosh, I am jealous.
It depends how long you're staying for, Noni. It depends how long you're staying for. You know, so I can drag you. I can drag you to Paulette's house. You know, how long? A couple of hours away from London, on a good day.
It's worth the trip. It's worth the trip.
For an hour on the train.
Okay, that could be a better idea. I'll meet you there.
But Annie doesn't get to drive his Pride and Joy.
Yeah,
so.
I'm gonna drive anyway.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drive. So it sounds like
I want to talk about that later on. Extensions of the male desires and needs.
I'm looking at you, Miss Hallam. What's wrong with you? I'm sorry. What are you talking about my car?
Their emotional and mental health for the toys that they buy.
What are you saying, Mrs. Hallam? What are you trying to say? My car is what? An extension of my person.
I'm just saying that men of a certain age may need to play with their toys more.
It brings them joy.
And I don't mean the Lego sets.
Yes. Whatever brings you joy. I'm
just gonna get abused today. I can see this ain't gonna go well at all. However, I try and make it go well.
Sorry, folks. It's been a while since I've had Paulette on my stage, and we get to both love on Annie a little bit today.
Yes, that's what they call it. That's what they call it. You know, abuse any time. It's more like what it sounds like.
Gosh.
Right. What's your
Anytime it's like abuse time. But love abuse with love.
It's all love, yeah.
Oh, thanks.
I'm seeing Ashif. Hi. I'm seeing Harvey Tuck. Oh wow. Hi.
Yeah, just a lovely brother. That's not what I'm hearing, Coach Ashif. No, they're just insulting me. That's what they want to do. They're talking about my appendage, apparently. Let's not do that.
Nope. Nobody's talking about anybody's appendage. Nope.
Well, it was.
We're talking about your car.
I wasn't.
Your car.
I wasn't.
It was.
That's your mind. I was just talking about how...
Ignore these two. I don't know who you're going to listen to today.
Oh my god.
Because you have to ignore all of us, I think. Linda,
let's introduce ourselves formally. Let Paulette go first.
How are you doing, Dr. Leslie? Glad you're here. Paulette, the mic is yours. Don't choke to death, please.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah,
I'll try not to. I'll try not. You made me laugh. It's the worst thing in the world. Hi, I'm Paulette Hallam. I'm my first week back on the show. I've had a 6-week break from LinkedIn, and I would just like to say hi. And I'm really glad to be here supporting my friend Lisa and Trouble in the Corner, Annie. And at the end of the day, we're here to support everybody here and try to understand a little bit more about what's going on, perhaps behind the scenes, in family life at home, as opposed to just black and white, what the paper says, what we believe in print. It's the actual reality. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when Lisa's done her review, but that's what really I'm here for. So pass it back to you, Lisa.
Thank you so much. And I know it's been a while, but I am just really happy that you're back and you're well, and we get to hear you and see you again. So welcome back. And Annie just disappeared off my screen. Annie, it's your turn to introduce yourself.
I have to go and get my book. I'm not going to start talking about my book now, right?
Okay, good.
in case someone hasn't bought it, so do go and buy it. It is behind me somewhere. It's behind me somewhere. Let me see that. Watch this is in the way I can't. There it is, over there. Yeah, there. That book there. Here it is in my hand. So this is my lovely book. 10 authors telling the stories of how we survived the pandemic. So do go and check it out. It is on Amazon. So beyond that, my joy is to help people to write their books, publish their books, launch their books, and sell their books. Let me say Paulette is on 3,500 books plus for her Jack and Water books, for example. That gives me the greatest joy ever. So we are going for 100,000 now. So that will really cheer me up. And I might learn something new as well in that process, right? Yeah. So if you want to help with your books and you want to make your book a bestseller guaranteed, then let's talk. Otherwise, if you want someone to help you with doing these events, you can do it on your own. Of course, you can. But if you want someone to help you to plan them, organize them, fill them, maybe even co-host with you, then let's talk. So my joy is in bringing people like Lisa, the superstars of this world, to the whole world, right? So get to meet Lisa and get to know Lisa. She's the true star of the show. Me and Paul are just here as helpers. Superstar, the mic is yours. Look at that, even on big screen as well.
I think you're a little more than just helpers, but I appreciate you all being here. Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Favek. I don't know why I said that so forcefully. Jeez. I'm having a bout of Sahara dust in our country. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. So my voice is kind of gone. And if I start coughing, please forgive me. I'm a dietitian, educator, author, and coach for women's health issues, but my specialty is in perimenopause and menopause. I talk about it every chance I get because we don't have enough information on it. It's still very taboo to talk about women's health issues in certain places, certain countries. So my passion is always to shed light on certain issues and bring awareness and education to women so that they can advocate for their own health. Today, June being Men's Health Month, I wanted to step back from focusing solely on menopause to talk about men's health issues. All women will go through menopause. Some men will go through male menopause. It's called andropause. But men's health on the whole affects us as well. So the men in your life who are your support system, if their health isn't where it's supposed to be, that could affect you, right? So I wanted to just take up this show and focus on the things men should be paying attention to, why they should be paying attention to it, some of the foods that are helpful to help with their health journey. Heart disease is still the number one killer for both men and women at all ages. So it's really important that we pay attention to the little things and hopefully they don't progress to more serious health issues. So if you're in the audience listening live, please share this with your friends, your family, people who may need to hear the information. You never know, something someone may say may spark a question and or cause them to look at their own health, and you may potentially save a life. So please share the show with us. Oh God, and my voice is going, sorry. So I wanted to share a little bit about why I wanted to talk about this topic, because my experience with dealing with the men in my life is that they always say things are fine. To get them to go to a health center or to a doctor can be a real challenge. I know that the reasons why will be different culturally, etc., etc. But it's really difficult for men even to see about a toothache. And I'm looking at you, Annie, right? Even to, go to see a dentist to get a checkup can be a challenge. So if going to get a checkup is a challenge, then when we have more serious health issues or we need blood tests or we need medication or maybe even surgery, that can be even more of a challenge. And as women, we are usually the healthcare providers in the home. We schedule appointments, we make sure everybody takes their medication or their supplements, and we take care of, maybe aging parents or partner or children. And we now are going into menopause. So we have more health issues that we're dealing with ourselves, but we still need to take care of everyone else. So taking care of the men in our lives, if they're the support system, it's really important that we pay attention to it as well. Let me stop there and hear what my co-host has to say. Sorry, I picked on you, Annie, but I always remembered you had a pain in your tooth and you're saying, nope, I don't want to go to the dentist. I don't want to go to the dentist. So just reminded me of that.
Oh, I'm still waiting to go to the dentist still. Yeah, but I'll leave that to the side. I'm cured now. I'm all right, thank you.
Okay.
So Joni, we see you listening and returning the emails and enjoying being able to hear nice voices. That must be Lisa's voice, right? That's not my voice, so it's all right. Christy, thanks for joining us as well. So Dr. Melissa, the one with the crayons and circles to do her coaching. She says she's listening while finishing food prep for on-site community event tonight. So don't take too long is what she's saying to you, right? So that's what she's saying. Speed it up, finish soon. And Pepperoni says, Roti has maintained her fabulousness. That's you, right? So there you go. She certainly has. She's the same old that I know. So that's a good thing, apparently. Michael says, great energy, Lisa. See, it's all about you, Lisa.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying not to look sick.
Pepperoni, yes. Now, are you saying you're a background singer or dancer for Lisa? Exactly that. I'm just here just to press buttons. No one really cares what I have to say, but no. Lisa has me here. So she wants to beat up a man, then she normally throws rocks at me. So I'm all right. I can take it just about.
You would swear me just like harass you every time. That's so wrong. I value everything you say, and you really say all these gems. I don't know why you're pretending that you're not valuable. Come on.
These is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal help to women experiencing changes due to menopause that we agree with for sure. That's beyond that. I mean, she's written books about it as well, so that's how great she is. So how many books? 3 books now, Lisa?
Yes, co-authored.
Yes.
3 books. I'm not Paulette status yet. Yes, but one of them was on menopause.
Excellent. So I said men are taught to hide emotions, which means hiding symptoms of things that aren't feeling 100%. I'm learning though, Melissa, that many women live in pain constantly, perpetual pain. That's what I know. So men don't have. I can't stand pain at all. So I'll do what it takes to treat the pain. And so I'm lucky I've got a nurse as a wife. So literally, if I cry enough, I don't hide my emotions when I'm in pain. Toothache, it's like everything's gone wrong. My world has ended. And then she finds the cure, which keeps me away from the dentist for a little bit longer. So men don't always have the pain. It depends how painful it is. If you don't believe me, go and watch a man on a football pitch. If someone runs past him too hard, and we lay on the floor screaming our heads off. I used to anyway. I don't do pain at all.
Yeah, but physical pain, but the mental and emotional pain, they're great at hiding that.
Me losing the ball and someone else scoring. That's torturous, Lisa. That used to really cause me pain. I used to cry like a baby.
Oh my gosh. That's a different story. I'm not going there.
Dr. Marcia, how you doing? Good evening to you too, Dr. Marcia. So our superstar Sandra is here as well. Hello to you all. So we just did Sandra's book launch prize draw. You didn't win, Paulette. No, Chanela won $25 voucher. But we'll try again next time, Paulette. We'll try. Oh, so if Karen's here, it must be important. There's a Karen Joan. Your name wasn't a draw, so I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. I was on your show on Sunday night. No, Sunday night. Yes. Yeah. So I'm glad you're here. Who else is here? I'll probably show you the book, that lovely book I got from Karen and Joan as well. So Platine, I think I saw you. You're in an anthology. I forgot. No, Dr. Rogers' anthology. Patricia Rogers has an anthology. Actually, I saw your picture on there. It's one of those who's in the book. So thanks for joining us, Kenny. I wonder what cheesecake Kenny's eating today. It doesn't eat cheesecake so much these days. I don't know what he eats instead. All humans feel pain, some more than others. But it is a competition. I'm happy to lose that competition, Melissa. I lose. I'm all right. A bad day is a what? A bad day is a day. Pain means Nah, not doing it. Medication, quick. Right, Lisa, maybe let's start there. Medication.
What about it? Sorry, I was trying not to cough. What about medication?
It's my first resort for everything.
Oh, you mean if it should be your first resort? Is that the question?
Yeah, yeah.
It depends on what it is. I know. Okay, so I deal more with holistic health for, especially for women who can't go on medication, or they just choose not to go on medication. But I am not against medication. So, especially if it brings you back your quality of life, I don't see the point in suffering with immense pain if something medication wise can help. I don't see the point in suffering. We suffer with too many things as it is. If a pill can help you get through your day, I'm all for it. But with most medication, we shouldn't stay on it for life unless that's what is necessary. So when it comes to medication, talk to your doctor, ask how long should I be on it, the side effects, because most times we don't talk about the side effects. We just accept the prescription and we go. How long should I be on the medication? What are the expected side effects? If the side effects are worse, what do I do? When do I call back the office? Let's say the expected side effect was a headache, but I have a migraine for a week. That should be the time, okay, I call back the office and say, listen, is there another medication? Because for every medication for a particular health issue, there are at least 4 or 5 different options. So, and not everything will work for everyone. So you try one, let's say, try it for a couple of weeks. The symptoms and the side effects are just really bad. Go back to your doctor and say, hey, this is not working for me. Is there another option? There's always another option when it comes to medication. But while you're taking the medication, while you're taking the medication, then you look at your diet and lifestyle as your foundation. So you do both hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, Michael's agreeing with you. The medication, only if there's no holistic medicine or equivalent. In my first
no. Let me back. Not if there's not a holistic equivalent. That is a little misleading. Especially with things like cancer. I've seen too many patients, because they're afraid of chemo and radiation, they're afraid of the side effects of the medication because it could be really debilitating. You're vomiting every day, you're too weak to walk, and someone will say, hey, I have this holistic thing, take that and stop taking the medication. They don't tell you how many times those people end up in the hospital and die or end up worse. Right? Holistic medication is still medication. Your body still sees it as medication. Natural medication, all of those fun terms, they have no real meaning. Opium is natural, cocaine is natural, right? So don't get fooled by those buzzwords. If a traditional medication is not working and something else would work in its stead, most doctors are open to that kind of conversation. If you have a doctor that isn't open, maybe change doctors. But medication is medication. Food is food. It's not the same thing. And a lot of times people try to replace food with medication and end up in problems. It depends on what the situation is and the stage you're at with that health condition. And the best example is cancer, and I've seen it too many times. Stage 1 cancer, yeah, we could talk more of the lifestyle and the diet issues. Stage 3 and 4, you need medication. And there are too many times people fool patients because they're desperate and they're looking for answers and they're in so much pain. And they're like, no, take this holistic thing, and they end up in the hospital or in the ground. Right?
Well, normally, one follows the other, right? Back to hospital.
Yeah, for depending on the thing, you need traditional meds. What we fail to do is we depend on the meds and forget, no, we need diet, we need physical activity, we need a positive mindset to back up that medication. So let's say it's diabetes. Yes, having a good diet, you could get off the medication, but if your blood sugar is 500, and it's 500 every day, you're putting yourself at serious risk for heart disease right away. So it's in our duty of care, it's unethical for us to say, okay, just change your diet. No, we need to put you on a med to drop that blood sugar right away. And a doctor who's ethical will not just say, okay, go on a proper diet. No, we have to put you on a medication to drop it. But while that medication is working, then you work with the dietitian to back up and change your lifestyle. And yes, sooner or later, we take you off the meds because you're not meant to be on those meds forever. But let's not get fooled by diet is the answer and let's leave out medication. That is not this conversation at all. And the science proves that. For certain things, you need to be on medication, but always ask the doctor, what are the side effects? How long do I need to be on this medication for? Because some things you need to be on it for life. Otherwise, you will die or you will suffer greatly.
Lisa, you're going to die anyway. Come on now.
Well, yeah, but it's how, right? I could die naturally and quietly, or I could die suffering, right?
No, I mean, look, no, I guess
we're going to
this
just die quietly.
This is a revelation. On the cancer thing, I'm not convinced by the whole chemo thing. I'm just not. My wife tells me I'm stupid. My son says I'm dumb. I'm like, no, I'm not having it. I'd rather go natural and die.
Of them. I wouldn't be here, Rennie, if it wasn't for chemo.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't methotrexate.
We put cancer in one big box and assume all cancers are the same. It's not. It depends on where the cancer is and what stage it's at. Okay, and that's why you need a proper team to advise you correctly. And then you need to ask the right questions.
Okay. All right. There are a couple of good questions in the comments. You know, if you want to add, Paula, let me know. Are you waving your hand to talk, Paula?
Paula,
yeah, I just wanted to
talk about this.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say quickly was whenever we talk about men's health, I always like to talk about boys' health because I always wind it backwards. If we talk to young boys and children that they're allowed to cry if things hurt, if things are sad, if grandparent has died or something has happened, we stop all this men don't cry stuff. We've got to stop shutting down emotions because you shut them down as a child, then you're never going to be able to voice them and express them as an adult. And that's what's happened for years and years and years. We're probably now at the millennials that are just about kind of coming out of that and are a little bit more willing to talk about their emotions. So if you take anybody from 30 plus, we're probably still talking about being quite shut down, quite unwilling to express how they feel. Between 30 and 50, in the UK, certainly you can have a top to toe like health check, which I think is something that we should recommend. I think all private medicine usually has this. And even a GP, you can phone you, like in the National Health, you can phone your GP and get a top to toe full check. And they'll check things like your prostate, they'll check for heart disease, blood pressure, diabetes, all those kinds of things. But they'll also do all your blood work, just, to make sure, just to double check that everything is in order. Now, that's okay for your physical body, but what about your mental state? That might not even be a conversation. That might not even be something they ask you about because they are there as GPs in their 10 minutes they're allotted to get as much done as possible and get you out the door. Now, if you went in there and you're a little bit like, I don't know if everyone remembers Columbo, but Columbo used to be this amazing police inspector, and he used to just about to leave the door and he go, just one more thing, just one more thing. And doctors say, and I've got a few that are friends, GPs, and they all say the same thing, that the men, they're just about to walk out the door and they do the Columbo, right? The Columbo. Just one more thing. I've got this little wart on the end of my willy, or I've got this pain in my chest that I'm not quite sure what to do with, or I've been having this stomach pain, and I'm not quite sure, what it's all about, all around my belly button or something. But it's as they're walking out the door, because they really didn't want to say it, or it's I've been really emotional recently and I don't know what to do, or my wife's going through the menopause and we're going to kill each other. That was something that one of my friends told me, which, as much as it was funny at the dinner table when we were laughing, the deep down emotion is that probably they were going to kill each other, because when you are both incredibly emotional, because the woman's hormones all over the place, the man, everything the man says is wrong, everything the man says he does is wrong. He didn't put the bin out when she asked him. He didn't wash up when she thought he was going to. And, it doesn't. And he's like, well, I'm not psychic. I didn't know you wanted me to wash up. And it's like, I left the room, didn't I? It's like the problems that happen in that environment is all about emotional tension. And unless you have that open communication where you say the questions, like, would you mind washing up tonight? I feel exhausted. Then he knows if he doesn't do the washing up, he's going to get a rollicking because she asked him. But at least he's not expected to be able to transmute the information from her mind to his mind, and, him to understand that he should have done the washing up, because there's washing up in the sink. That means you do it, silly things like, we were laughing earlier on about Annie's BMW, and I was saying it was about certain times in a man's life when he might need to get something that makes him feel masculine, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you weren't feeling masculine before, but you feel more masculine because one has achieved one's goal and got one's toy, be it whatever that toy is. So the real most important thing for me, and the other thing that I would like to mention, which is really quite new, I only read a report when I was convalescing, was the amount of men in middle age, so 40 plus, who are now being diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, and other neurodivergence. And they've always been there, and they've always had these issues, but they've never understood what they were. And it's only now that the wife is going through her issues with the menopause and trying to cope with just running the family and coping with everything else, and that when he doesn't keep up with the sort of his part of the deal or whatever, and he's saying, well, I don't remember being asked. Did you ask me? And she's got, look on the table. There's a bloody note that says, do this, do that, do the other, and buy some bread and milk on the way home from work. There's a dear John note on the table, and you still didn't see it, right? And then they say, well, maybe there's an issue. And then they go and they seek to find out if there is an issue. And they find out that maybe they had a neurodivergence all the way through that has maybe just come to light as a mature man. So, that is something really worth thinking about. 40 plus is the age bracket that they're using in these new studies that Harvard and I think it was John Hopkins brought out. But they're very big studies. And, this is going across, I think it was like 10,000 men. And these were people that thought there was an issue. And in 80% of cases, there was. And that is huge. And that is something to note, because that doesn't mean that that wasn't present when you were younger. It just meant that you coped with it better. And as you suddenly reach this midlife point, you didn't cope quite so well. And I'm sure that Lisa will understand that and be able to put some meat on the bone. So back to you, Lisa.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned ADHD, because I did a newsletter on it last week. And it's the same for women as they enter into perimenopause and menopause. That issue of ADHD pops up. And it's not that it wasn't there before. is that they've used different coping mechanisms that worked for them, and now those strategies aren't working anymore. And when they do the testing, they realize, oh, they've always had this. And yeah, it's really interesting because now people are recognizing, okay, wait, this is something we need to study. I think we need a lot more studies on it, and not just in the bigger countries, but in the smaller countries with different populations to see if it's the same, and if the treatment options will be the same as well, if those will work. It's really quite new compared to the other information we have, but I'm hopeful that at least they're looking at it and looking at it for men as well. So that's really hopeful. And where did Annie go? I'm seeing some really interesting comments.
I'm looking at Sandra's comment. She likes Lisa's sense of humor. You can say something funny at the right moment. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, quite. I've learned to laugh instead of cry because I'll be crying all the time.
It's much better. It's much better to laugh instead of cry. I distress everyone. Paulette, you on my BMW. I haven't got a BMW. I never drive a BMW, but it goes to you're thinking about my car and an extension of my genitals, which is not. I got a Mercedes for a reason.
Yes. I don't so we stand corrected.
Oh my gosh. Janice, welcome. Glad you were here.
Yes, hi, Janice.
A couple of questions for you. Right. So
I only got Mercedes, so we couldn't say it.
Eh?
What did you say, Paula?
You only got a Mercedes, so we couldn't say.
Yes, I agree. You know, the letters don't fit for your description of my problem. It's fine. Right, so a couple of questions for you. So, Coach Ashley says medications half the dose, mindset's the other.
I love this. Say you. That is so very true. We have studies showing now that having a more positive mindset, the way you experience health symptoms are actually less. So especially for menopausal symptoms, when we look at women who, and it's not that they don't have problems in their life, they don't have challenges, but the way they approach them, if they approach it from a more positive stance, even with my clients, once they change their mindset, the way they experience things like hot flashes is less. So I definitely agree with this one.
Yeah, who knows? If I think the pain's going to go away, it goes away with some medication, Lisa.
I think there's a saying where the mind goes, the body follows. So it starts with the mind, yeah.
So Karen says we need to condition the mind. So that's what we should be working on. All right, Michael's got a couple of questions for you. Yes. What's the difference between holistic and natural medicine, says Michael?
So those aren't really terms we use in the healthcare system. When people say holistic medication, they're usually talking about something from herbs, or in Trinidad, we call it bush medicine.
Woo-woo
so
stuff.
Something, sorry?
Woo-woo stuff. Woo-woo.
It's not actually woo-woo because, no, because these things actually work. That's where aspirin started. They looked at a plant and they took the extract of the plant and made it into aspirin. So for for a lot of the medications we have today, they actually looked at and did research on plants and how they affected certain tribes. They pulled out the extract from the plants, whatever was causing the health benefits, and made that into medication. So it's not that I'm against using plants and herbs. They certainly help. But again, it depends on what your issue is and what stage you're at. So for example, diabetes patients can use something called bitter melon. We call it Corylea in the Caribbean. It's an extremely bitter fruit that you have to cook down to get rid of that bitterness. But eating that fruit and sometimes even drinking the leaves, making a tea from the leaves, drops your blood sugar. So a lot of times patients take bitter melon before they go to the doctor to fool the doctor, right? But there are different tests we can do to get around that. But what they're doing now is, since they've recognized, okay, bitter melon seems to work for diabetic patients, let's pull out the active ingredient in that bitter melon and put it into a pill so that more people can have access to the benefits of that bitter melon. So that becomes medication, and we can call that holistic medication if you want, whatever. But your body still sees it as medication. It will still react it as medication. There will still be side effects for some people because not everything will work for everyone. So I have no issue with holistic medication in a traditional sense. I saw a question, he asked what was traditional medication. That's what we call medication you get over the counter, what your doctor prescribes, right? That is what people will see. They don't want traditional medication, they want holistic. Your body sees it in the same way. Most medication you get over the counter started off from research from plants.
I'm going to run and get sushi.
And what was that? Oh, I thought somebody asked a question.
I think that was Sandra, I think.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, so
computer's playing.
Again, it means going to your doctor, figuring out what exactly is the cause, what medication can help, but it's also about personal choice as well. If you find that the medication your doctor puts you on doesn't work for you, and you found something else that works better, my only advice is tell your doctor. Because a lot of times the doctor is thinking you're taking the medication he prescribed and is continuing your care based on that information, and you're taking something else. So he has no idea what those side effects will be. You know, it's going to make things very confusing. And if you have multiple conditions, it's not the best course of action. So if you, let's say, you're not comfortable with the medication, it doesn't work for you, you're getting too many side effects, go back to your doctor, ask for something else, ask for another option, right? And I saw that especially if your case is complicated, you may need to try a mix of both. That's okay, right? Whatever works for you to give you back your quality of life, I am not going to be against that.
Okay, so there's a lot more comments, but let's hear from Sandra. Welcome, Sandra. How are you doing?
Hi, Annie again. Why is it so dark? I have a lamp in front of me.
That's why I had to get my lamp to just so you can see me.
Yeah, sorry, I was unmuted and I didn't realize you already had me up there. So I apologize for that interruption. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Paulette. First time in this room. Thank you. I resonate with this topic, and as I was listening at the beginning, you guys were talking about, how men struggle in silence because of what it resonates with me is that it brought me back to the book that I wrote, which is about silence. And when I started exploring this silence that I experienced my whole life, it went back to thinking about the way I was raised. And I wrote about my dad. My dad was someone that he didn't know how to express, how to express love. He knew how to love us. He knew that he was a great dad, but he never really was able to say I love you. But the deeper on that is that my dad, he lost a son when his son was from his first marriage. He was 12 years old. My father never spoke about that. Also, my dad grew up without his dad, and he never really told us his stories about childhood or anything like that. So I really didn't. I learned about my dad just, as I was growing up, but not because he was able to share those stories. He never really spoke about that. So I never really know, his pain, how he was processing that. He just maybe shut down all these feelings. So then that's when it becomes generational silence, right? Because I grew up in that silence, not being able to express myself because he just didn't, and my mom was a little bit the same, so they didn't really express feelings. So that's what I wanted to come up here to share because it resonates with me. And what Paula was saying, start by talking about boys, right? How we're raising our boys. So raise boys that know the crime doesn't make them weak, and men that know that talking about their mental health is a strength. And let's just start changing the next generation, just breaking that silence. And how we break that is by really muting ourselves and sharing our stories. Everyone has a story, and every story is important, is valuable, and there is so much healing in sharing, all these things that we carry in silence. So yeah, because it's June, the mental health month, everybody's talking about men mental health, but I think we should, be talking about this all the time, sharing these stories. And so, because when we do, then, people feel they're not alone, and maybe encourage them to start sharing that pain, and make the shame that may feel from those stories, make go away this shame a little bit, because shame is very damaging. So that is what I wanted to share, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Paula, do you want to add anything to what she said?
I think the word shame is the word that we all know, and that we're all aware of. And I think the more that we try and take that shame away, women are more likely to sit down with a cup of coffee and tell each other, their friends, what's bothering them. Men down the pub will talk about the football or whatever. They won't necessarily talk about what's bothering them. And so that's a bit down to this whole topic of how do women support their men better, which was Lisa and I who were chuckling at the beginning. So I do apologize for that, because it was we were having a go at Annie. But the point is, women, I've got the most amazing husband in the world. I absolutely put my hands down, and Annie's actually said that if anything happens to me, he's moving in. So that gives you an example of what a good guy is. But the point I'm trying to make is, I will still check in with him, because he's dealing with seeing me get carted off in an ambulance, blue lighted, whatever. That is a huge fear that is now on him. And now he's got to follow the ambulance to the hospital, driving at probably a nervous speed, because you're thinking about what's going on in the ambulance and what's going on and what could be happening. So all those things that are messing with people's heads, now they leave little tiny scars. We know they do. And they come back to haunt us at a later date. And so whenever I wheeze or cough or splutter or whatever, now that I'm well over the virus, I still get, moments where I'm not well. And the speed in which, it's like Superman. He should have like one of those suits on in latex or something. He shoots in the room and, "Are you okay?" And I think to myself, as grateful as I am for him, and I have the humongous gratitude for him, I often wonder the toll it's taken on him, my illnesses, on his mental health. He's never even been in a hospital for himself in 55 years. He's pretty much lived in one for the last 25. So, you know, it's quite a story that that poor man puts up with and tolerates, and it must be through love, otherwise they wouldn't do it. But what I'm trying to say is I'm aware, at least I'm aware, the toll that I put on that man. You know, he will check every piece of medication I take, because sometimes I ain't got a clue. I'd take whatever I thought was the right thing, and it would probably be completely the wrong thing. And when you're taking sort of 10, 12 pills, 20 pills at a time, you know, those days were horrific. And, you know, you need someone who's there counting out the prednisolone to make sure you've got the right numbers and whatever. So I'm just saying that, you know, you have to be grateful for the man in your life, and you have to show him gratitude, but you also have to give them the opportunity to speak about how they're feeling. How has this affected us? How has this changed anything? I'm really sorry that I am. When I say sorry, it gets annoyed, but I say sorry all the time. I'm sorry I fell over. I'm sorry this happened. I'm sorry that happened. And then will you rub this cream in my bruises? You know, it's like, and that's not a euphemism before you start any. The point I'm making is that, you know, that there is a lot to be said for a person who's tolerating that kind of situation. Now put that into menopause, and a man who is coping with it, a wife going through menopause, who is struggling, who is finding it very difficult, who is exhausted, who is going through all of those symptoms. And I say all, not the 130, and but however many of them that they're going through, they can't go down the pub and say, oh, my wife's going through the menopause, I'm having a terrible time, because that's not what men would do. They drink a pint and talk about the game of football. But what they need to do is go down the pub for their Friday night drinks and say, how's things at home? Oh, I'm going through a terrible time. And then if they talked about it and they both went, well, actually, I found this really helpful. I found that really helpful. I found if I tend to stay out of a way and do this, that, and the other, we all get on well. You know, they'd come up with each other's solutions without being told this is what you should do. And I think that the mental strain that the menopause, women's illnesses generally put on men, whether it be breast cancer, whether it be whatever, there is a toll. I saw people in hospital, and I saw the men who are with their wives and partners. They looked as forlorn and stressed as the person who was sick. And that is a real, I know that is the connection that we're talking about, but it is so important that they speak it out. Like, I can talk to you guys, I can talk to my friends, and believe me, I'm so fortunate. So many of you all phoned me and checked up on me and were constantly in contact, and that was lovely. Not just from LinkedIn, but just on my life in general, and that's wonderful. But how many check up on the men in their lives? And I just wanted to say that because I think it's really important. So back to you, Lisa.
Annie, you wanted to say something? I saw you talking, but you were muted.
I think now Paula has a point in of course, so does Sandra. You know, I haven't seen a doctor for God knows how long. I mean, God knows how long. Not quite 55 years, but close, very close. You know, I think men have. We find pain relief. That's best way. I'm not sure. I'm not sure we're finding cures necessarily. What we're finding solutions to our pain that then takes away the need to address the issue half the time. Now I'm talking to you now. So now I sniveled. I was like, oh, halls. That's what I always take. I always eat halls. I can eat several halls all day, and they're packets of the stuff. Does that cure the problem? Is there a problem? I don't know. I will never know. Because then I say, as Paulette said, you might find another solution amongst your friends in the pub. It doesn't necessarily have to cure the problem. Now, our thinking is not cure the problem. Our thinking is relief for now, and then crack on. That's the way men tend to think. You know, I don't know. Part of me is thinking, is part of the answer to start men using healthcare sooner, younger, at a younger age? Because it's very hard to get me or Charles to go and see a doctor unless we're really on death's door. Unless you have to drag us there in the ambulance. We're not going. We're going to look at you and go, I'll get over it. Give it a week. Let's see how I feel. In that week, anything could happen, right? That's a men's way of dealing with stuff. I have no idea what the answer is. Some of the things that could go wrong in midlife. I mean, talk about prostate, and all men would go, I'm not listening. Catch me first.
Annie, I don't know if you're seeing, there's a comment that I wanted to pull up because it's
Which one?
directly
There's definitely good ones.
from Rhonda Glynn. She said,
Yeah.
Hi Lisa, I came on late.
Yeah.
Yes. My dad is a survivor of prostate cancer. We caught it in the nick of time because he was very proactive. How can we speak to men to take responsibility for their health? And it goes back.
Right?
Yeah, it goes to what you just said about going to the health center or your doctor earlier. But the issue with many of us is that we don't have access to proper health care, or it's very expensive. So in the Caribbean, I live in Trinidad and Tobago, we follow the UK system because of colonialism, etc., etc. So we have free healthcare for basic things up to a point. It means, though, that we have to sit in the hospital on very uncomfortable benches for hours and hours before we see a doctor. And if you get to spend 10 minutes with that doctor, you're lucky. Right? And yes, we want the doctor to give you individual care and listen to you, but look at it from the doctor's side. Here's one doctor to a room full of people, and they're only 8 hours in a day, right? So the system needs to change. Places in the US, they don't have that option. They have to pay for everything. So most people and most men are going to be exactly what you said. I'm just going to push through it. Because if I go to the hospital for anything, I have to start paying. Most of them may not have health insurance that covers that particular issue, and it's extremely expensive. So it's very hard to have a conversation and say, listen, you've been suffering with chest pains for a while. Let's go to the doctor if I have no health insurance. If when I get there, we can't afford to pay the bill. It's really challenging. We don't have enough solutions for that yet. But to answer the question, how to speak to men, I think also letting them know how their health issue affects the family can help. Yes, you're the provider, you're the head of the household, and pushing through that's your job. That's how you see your role. But if something happens to you, then what happens to us? It will hurt me if something happens to you. I won't be able to cope physically, mentally if something happens to you. So let's go to the doctor now where we could find a solution that's cheaper, faster, instead of waiting till you've had a heart attack or a stroke, where it's very hard to come back from. It's going to be different for different people, different situations. Paula talked about living with a woman with menopause and how you cope with that. And that's why I don't just coach the woman, I coach the family. Because we don't live in a bubble. We affect everyone around us. And if I'm suffering with 60 symptoms at one time and I don't have a proper quality of life, then I can't support the partner. I can't support my kids. I can't even get up to take a bath, much less for clean the house or make a meal. So each situation for me is very unique. And solutions take time, and it may not be the right solution. We may try something and it doesn't work and we have to switch, and that's okay. Working on that mindset to realize it's not a failure. We just need to find the right solution helps. But I think having more conversations like these and inviting the men in our lives to come and listen and say it's okay to talk about it. I'm seeing Michael be very open about his situation. I mean, just that helps other men in the room to be like, okay, he's open. I'm seeing Peter, chemo worked for me too. I didn't know that. Right? So kudos on you all for sharing and being so open with just giving your thoughts and giving, your comments. It helps other men realize it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to come on these shows and come up on stage and share. So I just wanted to, point that out. I'm really appreciative of when you all come in the comments and share.
Go on, Sandra, please.
No, I see some comments also from Peter, but what I was thinking is, the way to encourage men to talk is not many of them will share, but if you hear a man sharing, what they're going through, then say something, right? Support, because I think that when you say something and you support that the man is, you are a man, and that you support him by saying that, how courageous is that, or thank you for sharing, I can relate, or something, so that man doesn't feel alone. I think that will encourage more men to talk about, not keeping in silence. I was thinking about a relative that, when you were talking about cancer, I was very young. I was 22 years old, and my cousin, she went through cancer, and she passed when she was 45 years old, and she had a 5 years old boy, two boys, one that was older, and this boy. And after she passed, her husband, he died, the next year he passed, just, I guess, from depression. And I was too young. At that time, I just thought, wow, I guess he died from love, or, that's what I made, because I was too young, too immature. I was thinking, wow, he died after she died. So, and I just think now about those things, and I guess he didn't talk to anyone. No one checked a lot on him, and he just got too depressed with these two boys to raise, and they lost both dad and mom. So it's very tragic, because there was no that support, like you said, checking on men, especially when they go through something, as painful as losing the wife, or the wife going through cancer. It's really hard on men. So, or if they are afraid of losing her, and raising these, the kids by themselves, is really a lot. So supporting people is going through these experiences, to talk about it. Thank you.
Yeah, great point, Sandra. And I agree, this is why I have these conversations. No matter how tired I am or how ill I am, this is why I show up, because we need to have these conversations more often. I'm seeing a lot of comments that are just so good.
I'm not even close to any of them yet.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, and we're almost out of time with this show. There was one I wanted to share from a comment.
That's a load of comments. We have to welcome Chirito, of course.
Oh, okay. Hi. Oh, yeah. There are lots of people to welcome too.
So welcome, Chirito. Glad you're here. So I don't know what time is it. 4 in the morning, something like that.
No, it's 6 a.m.
Oh, honestly, this is normal time, right? Normal daytime for you.
Yeah.
You know, is it Sia? Sia? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Stella, sorry I'm late. What a great topic. Thanks for bringing this to our attention. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you joining us. So, do you know Dr. Gertz? He's one of the top
I've heard the name.
in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
Like I'll probably go back to Michael's. I think there's something about our lack of trust in the system,
Yeah.
which no one talks about. I think Michael talked about.
Yeah, just to find it. I'm
Yeah,
seeing Felipe in the crowd and Henry and Jay Pasqua. Hi, everybody. Hi, Michelle.
right. And I think Michael talks about doctors not trusting doctors who combine because they haven't got a holistic approach.
Yeah.
And to combine Eastern and Western medicine instead of using latest research.
Yeah, the system needs to change. And then we need to also have better research with different populations. So most research will be on white populations and white men for various reasons. Won't go into that, but it is getting better. But you have to follow enough people for years to make sure that this particular drug or this particular health regimen will work. And people die, people drop out of these studies, so it makes it really challenging for us as healthcare professionals to give the right quality of care, the right advice. Menopause, for example, we don't have any real research for Caribbean women, for mixed race populations. And the research on Black women is still very lacking. Brown women still very lacking. So again, it makes it really challenging. And then after that research, our personal experience is still unique. So I still have to know how to translate that research to the particular individual I'm dealing with. And if I'm in the public healthcare system and I barely have 10 minutes to see a patient, then how do I give that quality of care? How do I pull the correct research? If you have multiple symptoms and multiple health conditions and you're coming to me and I'm not familiar with it, how do I know how to treat you? And we put too much emphasis is the wrong word. Our GP is just the beginning to give us the first stage of healthcare. Many times we need a specialist in whatever we're suffering with or whatever our challenge is. So again, advocating for your care. Listen, do you have a specialist that does this? I saw people talk about functional medical doctors. So those are doctors that are extending their own field of study to include plants and other medication, Eastern medication. So that is also helpful. Not all of us have access to it. I saw someone talk about naturopathic medicine. Yes, if you get a good qualified doctor that does naturopathic medicine, it can be helpful depending on what your health condition is. However, most places that term isn't regulated. So in Trinidad and Tobago, most of the Caribbean, we recognize medical doctors that go to a medical school and we have an ID. And we have a medical board that they fall under. Naturopathic doctors don't fall under that board. I can basically wake up in the morning and call myself a naturopathic doctor. And a lot of times that's what's happening. And they recommend a lot of things and a lot of tests that have absolutely no basis in science. It doesn't even make common sense. But people are so desperate to get help and they don't trust their GPs. And a lot of times they may find a doctor that only cares about medication and doesn't listen to them and doesn't seem to care. And we're all desperate for help. So they go to these doctors thinking, okay, this person will listen to me. And they do this, certainly listen, but then they prescribe something that doesn't work. And most of them end up in the hospital, right? And so a lot of them, when I went to train in the hospital, there's a whole ward of people that took naturopathic medication. Nobody mentions that, right? So you need to be really careful depending on the country and make sure it's regulated by the government's medical board. board certified just means someone on a board in the school or whatever stamped it. It means nothing, right? So make sure it's actual a medical doctor. If you go online, so you can do it for Trinidad, search list of doctors registered in Trinidad and Tobago, you will get a list. You can look for the person's name. Same for dietitian. Most people can wake up and call themselves nutritionists. That term isn't regulated. If you search for my name under the list of registered dietitians, you'll see it. I also have an ID. I have to keep registering for every year. I have to meet certain regulations to get that ID. If I don't meet the regulations, I don't get the ID. Right? So especially if you have more than one health condition and it's really hard to treat or you're on medications, make sure you're seeing someone that is an actual doctor, actually has their license and actually knows what they're talking about. Otherwise, you could end up in real problems. I don't think that's so much a problem in the States. I think there's a naturopathic board that regulates and licenses the actual proper doctors. We don't have that in the Caribbean. I'm not sure if that's available in the UK as well. I don't know if Paulette and if you know, but
I like how you use the term proper doctors. You know, we don't know anymore who is who. That's half the problem now. If you think it's bad in the Caribbean, in Trini, then it's as bad here. It's worse probably here sometimes.
But there's supposed to be somewhere you could look for it. There's supposed to be some sort of register that you could find the person's name. It's just probably where to look for it.
Paulette, jump in.
We have so many foreign doctors now that we wouldn't know where to start. So I go to the doctor's surgery and there's 4 locums out of 8. And that's constant. And those 4 locums leave, another 4 locums come in. I've actually questioned it and I was told that 2 of them were on work experience. So it was their final year of being a GP. So they have to do so much time in the field. But at the end of the day, when you go to the doctors and you tell them, bleh, and you tell them all your problems, and it takes you every single ounce of you to be as honest with them and blur it all out on there, you have it all. And then the next time you go, you have to start again because it's a different doctor. And then the next time you go, you do it again. And in the end, it gets to the point where, like Annie said, you just want to scream and shout. So the frustrations that we're having is that we don't have, you know, like the old family GP that you knew from when you were a child and they sort of see you grow up and become a mature adult. That's not the case anymore. Now you get thrown around the system. So it's definitely gone downhill rapidly. Back to you.
I'm wondering what the Caribbean Heritage Month could do. Guest of honor. That's you, Lisa.
I don't know. It's not something we promote widely. Like I said, I know Men's Health Month, Caribbean Heritage Month. I'm not sure if that's something in the States. I'll have to do more checks on that. Yeah. Just to go back quickly, because I know we have a lot of questions, but we're running out of time. We have a lot of questions today. So Rhonda made a comment about the naturopathic doctor. So I just want to clear up what I said.
Which one? Who?
It's the last one on my screen. So I'm not sure because I'm not. Streamline isn't bringing all the comments up. So sorry about that. I will go back and respond to questions in the comments after the show tomorrow because it's not showing up on StreamYard as usual. Are you seeing it?
No, which one? Aaron?
No, Rhonda. It's the last one on my screen. So just to clear up what I said, so I'm not saying that naturopathic doctors aren't qualified. I'm saying make sure you find one that's qualified because it's not regulated here. So she mentioned Dr. Carlos Navarro. I'm not familiar with that person. The person I know who's qualified is Dr. Philip Franco, I believe. He's been here for years. But because we don't have regulations on it, that's where the issue is. Yes, we have a lot of internal problems with the medical board. They also put out a statement where they wanted the Ministry of Health to start regulating these things, because I think naturopathic doctors have a place, especially for people who can't use medications you find over the counter, what I call traditional medications, right? So there is a place for them, but it needs to be regulated. And it needs to be, if it's regulated, then John Public doesn't have to go searching to make sure this person is qualified. So in the same way we have a list of medical doctors, we can have a list of naturopathic doctors, and somebody does the check to make sure they actually who they are.
What's naturopathic? What's that?
It's those that use what they call the holistic medication. So more of the herbs, more of the, oh gosh, I'm sure I'm explaining this really badly. Right, so normal doctors will use what we call conventional medication, and naturopathic doctors will use what we term the holistic medication. There's a place for both. Both are important. We just need to make sure the person is actually who they say they are, because it's not regulated here, and in many countries it isn't. You could wake up tomorrow, put up a shop, put some herbs and supplements in your showcase, and call yourself a naturopathic doctor. And that is the issue. And they don't tell you how many people end up in the hospital because they get something that says one thing in the bottle and it's not inside the bottle. And it reacts because some people don't stop taking the traditional meds, and then they add naturopathic meds on top of it, and your body sees it as both. So the combination gets worse, and it's very challenging. Let me put it that way. Right? But I'm not saying that they don't have a place. And if there's a qualified person, sure. Like I said, I'm not sure that person. I never met that person, but I know Philip Franco as one of them. I saw him years ago too. So he's an actual qualified one. So if you're choosing to go the naturopathic route, all I'm saying is make sure they have their qualification and it's an actual licensed person that knows what they're talking about. I'm seeing here he has over 20 years. So he has the time to back up what he's saying too. Right?
Yeah, no, I think Sean's helping. A naturopathic doctor is a healthcare professional who practices naturopathic medicine with natural remedies to heal the body. Okay.
Yeah. So that could be a different conversation, because I didn't really want to go down that road.
We have to go there eventually. No, we have to go there.
There are pros and cons to everything. And that's why I always say, yes, we have these studies, but then how does that relate to the person? And that is why I say I take a holistic approach, because I don't just look at the labs. I look at the person, the environment, because there's so many things that affect your health, and you have to look at everything, right?
I mean, Michelle gave us a good one earlier on. I'm sure I'll get to it eventually. It feels like the ostrich effect, but I think it's more the mindset effect. She said, if you think good thoughts, then good things happen.
Yeah, it starts with a good mindset for sure. If you're suffering with 70 symptoms of menopause at one time, it's really challenging to have a positive mindset, right? And that's where coaching can help, but having a support system helps as well. So that is why making sure the men in your life are also getting supported, also taking them to the doctor, making sure they keep up with their medication, making sure they get the supplements they need. Because, as Paula said, as one example, her husband is the one that is supporting her. So if her husband isn't well, how is he meant to support her in the right way? Right?
Yeah, fair point. That is, Dr. Marcia says, and I said the true lifestyle. See, I'm standing around, Dr. Marcia. Sitting down doesn't help, right? Contributes to all these things.
But you've been standing for how many years now?
We don't want to die. We need to die comfortably, not in agony. It doesn't matter. If you're dead, I don't know. Okay. All right. I'll accept the point, Dr. Marcia. And I think if I'm dead, I'm dead, right?
No, it's how you're going. It's not just going, it's how you're getting there.
No, Dr. Marcia gets there in the end and says men can say the support they need and expectations because you can't read their minds. I like that. Now, that's true, right?
Yeah, that's why communication is so important. Yeah.
No, we can speak up. Who I don't know who this is. Oh, both menopause in men in women and okay, I'll let you read it all. Dr. Lisa, it's too much for my little brain. So both menopause in men and andropause, in men involve significant hormonal changes that can impact physical, mental, emotional well-being as well as relationships. It's the relationships bit I think we need to get stuck on, right? Supporting each other through these transitions is crucial for maintaining a strong and healthy partnership. Now, how men can help women with menopause or the change of life marks the end of a woman's reproductive years and is characterized by a significant. We lost the end.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and respond to his comments because StreamYard cut you off.
Look, I think I get where Peter's coming from, where he's going, in the sense that all of this, men's health being important in the conversations demands, I guess, you need a level playing field. You need the space to say what's wrong. If you want to, as Dr. Marcia said. If you expect someone to bite your head off because they got 70 symptoms of menopause, you're not going to speak. I'm not going to speak. I'm all right, thanks. Peace and quiet. I just played my game. Drink some more. Then I'll be all right. I mean, it doesn't work that way, does it?
That's why we need to have conversations because you're not going to have these 70 symptoms every day, right? It's going to be different on different days. So finding when to have those conversations, and also for the man to also speak up to say, okay, when you have your 70 symptoms and you come at me, this is what I experience. You were going to say something, Annie?
No, I'm sending Joni the link. I dare not say it.
I was going to say something.
Sorry. Go on, please.
No, just talking about, that we don't read minds. I think it's important to embrace vulnerability, to be able to create that connection where, even sometimes when you don't say it, your partner can see that you're not all right. And it's part of the conversation, how, to support that partner. It's just, I think it just requires a lot of vulnerability to be able to share what each one is going through, to be able to have those conversations and support each other. Because if we're not embracing vulnerability and we're not sharing, like I think Dr. Marcia said, we cannot read, other person's minds and know what is going through. So one of the important things is just to learn to embrace vulnerability. And how we do that? Let's share the steps. Let's start unmuting and really share. That's what I wanted to share there with that comment.
There's a comment from Felipe that speaks to that. I'm not sure it was higher up. I'm not sure if you'll see it, Annie, but he says, I see men's health getting better with each generation. Yes, thank you. When I asked my 23-year-old about how he's doing with everything, his response was about his anxiety and how frustrating it can be. And he continued to share specifics. And he sees, each generation, it gets easier to talk about what they're experiencing. And I think that's so important. But knowing Felipe, I'm sure he created that space so that he could have that conversation. And, from when they were very young, I'm sure, made his home a space where they could always share. And I think that's, as parents, that's what you need to do for your children, so that the next generation, it's easier to share things. with my family, when my parents, grandparents definitely didn't share what they were experiencing. And of course, now we don't know what exactly their health condition was. So I don't know exactly what to check for. Hopefully with our generation moving forward, it changes and we're more open to sharing what we're experiencing.
We need a book, Lisa. We need a book. Felipe, I'm with you. Paulette to write that book, and Paulette and Lisa to write that book. Yeah, there you go. A man's guide, to the partner's menopause. Good luck with that.
Oh gosh, and yes, and we'll interview any.
No, I think now Peter helps.
As much as we are laughing, but there is something that's so truthful in what Felipe is saying. Is if you don't go down the pub and you don't talk to your friends and you don't actually voice what's going on, how do you know you're not the only one, right? And when you go down the pub and you say, my wife doesn't want to have it anymore and I don't understand it and blah, 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 that's the sort of conversation they would have, because men do. But they wouldn't necessarily say, my wife's having mental issues and she's going a bit crazy and I don't quite know what to do with her, because that would be too personal, right? But they're not getting enough, or it not happening enough times a week or whatever. That's a conversation that might be had. But actually, that has a direct link to exactly what we're talking about if we talk about menopause. And so the way that we change the mindset is to actually say, if you have that conversation openly with each other and with go talk to your friends down the pub about it, see how their wives are getting on, be open and honest and tell them how you're feeling, and try not to hide the hardest part, which is you feel a bit lost because you don't know how to handle the situation and you're looking for guidance. Really, you're looking for one of your mates to say, actually, blah, this worked for me, why don't you try it? That's all you're looking for. And you might not get that from a woman's magazine that you might read in the hairdressers, or you might pick up a document that happens to have all this stuff on there and go to the doctor's surgery. Menopause, well, I think I'll read that because I'm going through that myself at home with her indoors.
No thanks. No.
Well, perhaps not Cosmo. No, but the menopause, we have little booklets in the doctor's surgery. You could just take one of those down and sit and read it, You haven't necessarily got to speak out loud, but you can take the information in from anywhere, whether it's a good source on the internet or whatever. Just get the information and understand that you're not in this alone, and it isn't a battle that only you are having. And it isn't a battle in that you're fighting your wife, you're fighting a joint problem. And it's a normal thing that a woman's body goes through.
We call it an existential threat. Without as you're talking,
Sorry?
I'm thinking, it's like saying to a man, when your car breaks down, go and get the manual out. No, it's a crisis. My car's broken down. Same as menopause. She's gone mad. And that's all we say. He's lost her mind, and I don't know what to do.
What do we do with him, Lisa?
I'm going to focus on this comment because I think this is brilliant.
I like Rhonda's comment too.
Yes, I love this. Yes.
It says, every man should, as they get older, should need a friendship of another man to talk to about the real issues that affect them in this place of trust. I agree with that. I said that could be a way forward. I sent you the StreamYard link, Joni, so it's in your DM on your LinkedIn. From Pete. Now, Peter is much more helpful than anyone else today. He says women can play a significant role in supporting men to be more open with their lives by creating a safe, non-judgmental, understanding environment. Well said, Peter. Exactly that. Good luck with trying to find that space. Here are several ways they can do this: creating a safe and trusting environment, listen actively and empathetically. This is perhaps the most crucial step. I agree, Peter. I totally agree. So when a man shares, women can listen without interruption, offering unsolicited advice, or merely trying to fix the problem. Instead, focus on understanding his feelings and value. I love when the end just falls off. Think. But no, look, I think this is the heart of the issue for me today. It's creating that space for people, for people to talk. Say, of course, the reality, which I'm sure we know, is that if your wife is in crisis herself, those 100 symptoms that Lisa keeps talking about, I'm saying, how can anyone create that safe space of empathic listening? I don't know. I say I don't know.
Yeah, it's a real challenge. And it may mean working with, and that's what I do. I work with the woman to get her quality of life back, where she's able now to support her family. Because I said, if you feel like you're drowning, you're not going to be in a space to listen to someone else or to support someone else. But that's why I counsel the family as well to say, listen, okay, let's give her a month to let me work with her, get her quality of life back, give her the space right now just, to sort herself out. And then we can talk about how she's interacting with the family. And while working with her in that month, she gets that mindset. She, some of these symptoms are reduced. So slowly she's able to do what she was accustomed doing, and have those conversations. It does require patience on both persons, to give each other that space. And it also means the woman, as Paulette was saying a lot earlier, not to assume that her partner knows what she's going through. Partner can't read minds. Not because you have a certain look on your face, he's supposed to suddenly interpret, okay, yeah, she's struggling with XYZ. You have to be open to tell him, okay, I'm going through this, and you have to be open to let him respond as well. Right? But it is a challenge, but it's not impossible.
Let's hope it's not impossible, because we have to find this, an answer somehow. We must, right?
My clients will tell you it's not impossible. So I know the system works.
But I think it's partly on men to. Yeah, I've said this before in this room, I'm sure. The work starts. It's your relationship. Stupid.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's the truth, right? Don't wait till menopause comes and crisis comes and you start trying to fix problems. So we have to sort our relationships out in the right way. Have a communication line, we call it that, right? Before we get to the moment when our health start deteriorating and everyone's in crisis. Then it's a bit late to try and fix the problem then. I know we still got to try and find a solution regardless, but I'm saying the work, if we build this in a relationship over the years, then it's much easier to find the happy space that we're looking for. Henry, exactly. Welcome, glad you're here. So Henry's a cancer doctor, so he definitely knows more, much more than we do on this topic. I said, he talks immunotherapy. I know it's not a cancer conversation. I'm saying, I guess the way I understand it, that almost seems like a cure, one of the cure-alls. I mentioned that because someone else, I think Michelle mentioned CBD. Again, these are things that men would use because, it sounds like a cure-all. Do they work? I don't know why I'm asking you, Lisa, as if it's on your head. But you're on mute anyway.
Again, it depends on the situation. It depends on the dose. It depends what the health condition is. But for pain management, definitely. I have used it myself. I've had multiple surgeries. And at one point before my first surgery, I was so dependent on Cataflam, they couldn't put me to sleep when it was time for the surgery. Right? And when the doctors start looking at each other like, what the hell do we do now? That's when you get worried, right?
She's still awake.
Right?
Damn.
Yeah, she's still awake, and then they could wake me up, right? But again, I'm open to different types because CBD did work for me for pain management. But it goes back to what is the health condition? What is the dosage that you're taking with? Are you working with somebody who knows what they're dealing with and not just someone off the street that says, hey, this worked for me, right? Not everything will work for everybody. Right now, it may mean going on some sort of diet regimen to get your body able to use that alternative medicine. That's why we work with people on an individual basis, and we don't just go, this will work for everybody, and that's it. It's not a one size fits all.
Yes, I like Jay's comment. Holistic medicine, deliberately spelled, I'm sure. Yeah. Yes. Alternative medicine was once just medicine.
Yeah, and my hope is that we have more studies that will prove that these things work and can administer it in a safe way. For example, we're talking about menopause, there's still a warning label on vaginal estrogen, which has been proven to be the safest form of hormone replacement therapy we can give. Right now, doctors are lobbying the FDA to remove it because doctors, when they look at the vaginal estrogen box and they see the warning label, they're afraid to give it to their patients. Right? So again, when we have better research, hopefully we're able to give better answers to our clients and our patients. And that's why I have this conversation. So hopefully it sparks someone to do more research. It hope women could advocate for their health, could ask the right questions so that doctors know, okay, this is something that's important, something that we need to look at, something that we need to lobby our ministers or governments to have these changes.
I hear you. It's not woo-woo and it's plants. Look, Annie is here to be.
Just ignore Annie.
I'm here to be the ignorant one. That's what Lisa pays me to be, right? I'm here to to amuse myself. And you may not be amused, but it makes me laugh, so I'm all right with that. Anyway, so we're conditioned to believe we need to take medications for life. And many want quick fixes. Some cases need a second opinion from a doctor, or it can be another opinion. In cases, if we have to take it for life, it's understandable. I mean, and on that vein, I mean, Paulette, how many do you have? I would be petrified. I take ibuprofen, and that's bad enough. She bought me stronger ones. Apparently, I'm like, don't like the sound of that. That's me, right? Being a man, So, definitely, they got a new one, which has double dosage, and that just scares the hell out of me. I don't know how you take so many, and you're still surviving, you're still alive. As when Leah says, "Paulette, yeah, she's back. Yeah, she's back."
I'm not only surviving, I'm thriving, as they say. No, I mean, listen, if I can get myself off some of the drugs, and I weaned myself off diazepam from 8 down to 3 a day, and that was huge. But when I came off the morphine, nobody told me that I wasn't just to stop. So I just decided to stop one day. I went, I'm not going to take any more of that. That's it. Drew the line. Oh my gosh. The nightmares, the shakes, the tremors, the zombies, the fear. Everybody was a devil trying to kill me. It was like hell. And in the end, it was like, just give us some bloody morphine. And then when you speak to the doctors, they were like, well, what was you thinking of? Just coming off it like that. you're supposed to do so much and then come down the line. There's so much and come down the line and take like 2 weeks to wean yourself off it. And I was like, oh, that might explain a few things. It's like, I didn't even think to ask.
Yeah. And that's why I remind people on these shows, ask the question, how long am I supposed to be on this medication for? What are the side effects, the expected side effects? Because we are very unique individuals. We could have the outlying side effects that no one talks about. But understanding what the medication is for and how long I'm supposed to be on it. And if it doesn't work, okay, what is the other option? Because for most health conditions, there are more than one medications that we could take to help with it, right? But we need to ask the questions and not just, okay, we get a prescription. As Joan was saying, we depend on that medication and we just move on, forgetting that, okay, we're not meant to be on that medication forever. It's supposed to solve the problem that we have, but we're supposed to use diet and lifestyle to sort of back up what we're taking.
Yeah, Sean, I thought we were friends, Sean. You've ruined it. So even latest day to say, even standing desk and not the panacea. Oh, I'm going to sit down now. I might fall asleep, knowing me, right? But of course, there's no one solution to everything, is there? That's a thing.
Yeah.
Sure. No, Mr. Keston, long time no see.
Oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Yes.
You're from your part of the world for sure. Great to see you, Jackie. Welcome. Just got home to catch some of the show. Yes, well, Lisa's been the star as always. All right, I like this one. Have we considered that men might have been conditioned to accept a certain level of pain? No. I don't like any pain.
Yeah, but that's you.
I think a certain level of illness. Yes, a certain illness and pain are two different things. I think we might have conditions like as Paulette mentioned, which is not anywhere now. Most men hopefully won't put up with that. Having
men in the Caribbean. No, I could agree with this statement.
Yeah,
just to sort of suck it up and go ahead with your day. Yeah.
If you're on a good,
I think you're just very special, Eddie.
On a good day, you might just drop dead. And it was on a bad day, it's a gruesome death. Let's hope not.
Yes.
I think we've been from most of the comments, Lisa. I think we've been from most of the things everyone said, right? I still think it comes down to you two writing the book. Yay. The Menopause book. You're on Paul.
Yes.
And Sandra's also on stage, so you know, sure, we would love you to write a book about menopause.
Oh, definitely. I am seeing that Sandra has to leave. Sandra, thank you for coming up.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys. I just want to say a great conversation, and it's really important. Thank you for the reminder about checking in, with the men on our lives. It's very important. And all the support that we get from them. So sometimes we forget that they also need that support, emotional support. Even they're stronger than women sometimes, and tough, but they also need our support and share the things that they're going through. So let's maybe be the first one in the first one to open that door for conversation. Sometimes it's a little hard for them, so let's be the one helping them to open the door for that conversation so that they can express themselves what they're going through. Help them a little bit with that conversation. All right, guys, thank you so much for
thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Appreciate it. And congrats on your book.
Thank you.
Well said as well. Well said.
Bye, Paulette. Bye, Annie.
Yeah.
Bye, Sandra. I think someone it has to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It has to start somewhere. But no, Chirito has a point, Lisa. In a country where menopause is quite unheard of, I mean, men are more focused on bringing food to the table. Is it better to just let it be Let them die in pain. Come on now. No, that's not what she said. Okay, sorry.
No, that's
not raising awareness would be better, because then life is as usual. Than that, to where men become aware of it and fuss about it within their bodies. Yeah.
I think it depends on the person. Like, okay, going back to women in menopause, yes, there are over 100 symptoms we can experience. Some women don't experience any, or what I will say is that they don't know what they're experiencing has to do with menopause, but it's not affecting their quality of life. So they're able to function, which is fine. I am catering for the ones who can't. And it goes to awareness, and it goes back to checking with your doctor, doing the blood test, doing whatever is necessary. And if your quality of life is affected, that is when you reach out for help, especially. So bringing awareness, I don't think is a problem, because then you know, okay, if nothing is wrong, great. But if I struggle to get up in the morning, I struggle to deal with my emotions, or I am having bouts of anxiety and depression that I can't deal with myself and I need that support, then bringing that awareness means they will know, okay, it's okay to ask for help. So I don't think awareness on a topic is ever a bad thing. And awareness just means you have the information. What you choose to do with that information is totally up to you, right? Totally believe in freedom of choice. If you choose not to do anything, that's your choice. But we should have the space available for, if someone needs that help and needs that support, that they know where to go, who to talk to, what they're going to get with the program, etc., etc.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm sure, Sean, this is our dilemma, right? Man cold, called man flu here, and delivering a baby equal in some people's minds. No, not really. I think.
Really? Well, like I said, everybody's different.
It's much worse. And Sean says, I think this will be a good place to end our conversation. I only take NS, whatever they are. I guess that's the last resort.
That's like aspirin, ibuprofen.
Okay. That's the last resort. Yeah. No, he said he has he uses what I call potion. Concoction, he calls it. Turmeric, black pepper. I don't put black pepper in yet tonight. I got turmeric, ginger, cloves, cinnamon, concoction. Yeah, a little like golden milk. As Lisa said, put milk in it. I did the first time, then I thought, that's not manly enough. I need to make it bitter.
Bitter, yes. Right, but remember the black pepper or the milk, which is a source of fat, is for the turmeric to be absorbed. So turmeric has been proven to be pain reliever. Black pepper does the same thing for some people. But for your body to absorb the turmeric, you need a source of black pepper. Milk or some source of fat works better. Right? The absorption is better. If you don't have these, you're kind of just going to pass out the turmeric. Your body isn't going to absorb it.
Don't be like that.
I drink. I can only give the science. I'm sorry. That's how I'm built. Right? But yeah, using turmeric or herbs and spices in general for health and wellness, or for pain relief in this case, great idea. And as I said, if the pain is too much, you depend on the medication. That's fine. And that's how I teach my clients. That is the place I'm coming from. Nothing against medication. If you need it, great. Listen, I have my meds on my desk right now. If the pain is too great, because it's all my joints, right? If I can't function, I need to take something. But on the days that it's manageable, then I go back to the foundation: diet, physical activity, and the mindset. That is always there. And then you just add layers to that.
I tell you, you're good people. So black pepper helps turmeric work better. And as I never knew, I'll throw some black pepper in there.
You knew it. I told you. You just, like we say in the Caribbean, you're hardened.
I got bag full of stuff anyway, right?
I was
Thank you.
taking that with tea. I was having that with tea every day. Lemon, black lemon, turmeric, cinnamon, honey, ginger, and that was my hot toddy, if you like, every day. That was really quite very soothing for the laryngitis and sore throat and all of that. But I think that the pain, pain medication is really hard to find something because you're already using plant-based medication, but now it's being produced massively in factories. But you're still talking about opioids. You're still talking about whether it's like meloxicam, which is like the highest amount of brufen you can take, or whether it's pregabalin or gabapentin, or whether it's any one of these drugs. Every one of them comes with a book of what might happen, what could happen, and in the end you stop reading them. You don't even look. And then one day I picked a prescription up and I just happened to look. I don't know why, but it jumped out on me, and it said, if you have a prolactinema, you must not take this medication. So we phoned up immediately and said, did you know? And they were like, oh, mistake. Sorry. Just don't bin them and whatever, But when it goes back to our normal medications, they don't have any harm in sending me boxes of paracetamol, 100 paracetamol every single month. Here you go, here you go, here you go. We went no more, I mean, it got to the stage where I had more diazepam, more, oxycodone, and more paracetamol than probably the drug cartels, And the point is that this, although it's funny, it's not funny, and it's dangerous, and we shouldn't have let it happen. But they just repeat prescription. Charles goes and picks the carrier bags up, a couple of bags in one in each hand. You don't check everything until you get home and you lay it all out and you go, well, we didn't need that and we didn't need that and we told them not to. But they've just gone repeat prescription, have the lot. And I think that is one of the biggest failings of the NHS, the waste that's going on in I think over prescribing and people not using. And then the same with antibiotics. People take 3 or 4 and they feel better, so they stop and they think, I'll keep those other ones just in case I start feeling worse at a later date, right? And these are the things that we have to just get away from. If we're on medications, we're on them for a reason. Like, if I hadn't been on blood thinners, I'd be dead. Simple. If I hadn't have been in the ambulance when I was, I'd be dead. No question. So when those real horrible, frightening moments happen in life, you don't sit down and go, perhaps I'll analyze the medications I'm on and decide which ones I'll drop off. You go, I'll take whatever they're giving me because it's keeping me here, right? And I think that's the difference. But do I ever say to Charles, are you okay with doing all this? Are you okay with putting all these pills out every day? Are you okay with handing over these trays full of pills every morning, 3 times a day? I never think to say, I always say thank you, but I never think the toll that it might be taking. And that's just something that I think is very selfish of me, but it's something that just has become a norm. And I'm now aware of it, and I will change that. I will make sure I change it. But I think everybody needs to just think about their man and how they're treating their man, and if there is something they're missing if their man has changed in some way, if their mood has changed, if their attitude has changed, if they're just become, more disgruntled or less disgruntled, whatever the difference, just note it and then just bring it up over a quiet meal with just the two of you and say, is there a problem? I think we have to be brave enough to do that. And I know it's tough to ask people to do it, but I think we have to be brave enough to say to our men, are you okay? Is everything all right? Is everything okay at work? Are there any problems? And we don't know. Maybe there's talk of redundancies at work and they're frightened stiff that their name's going to come up. These are the things that we need to be just a bit more mindful of. That's all. I'm done. I've finished.
Especially now is June, Men's Health Month. Someone sent me some post about it the other day. I was like, oh, okay. I have to acknowledge it and deal with it. But thank you for sharing such personal experience, Paulette. Jackie, you said it all for me, so that's cool. Thank you so much. Thanks, Paulette. Also, Lisa, to end on a happy note, if I put black pepper into my concoction, that's I don't have to add milk, no?
No, it works better with milk, but at least do the black pepper. Okay. At least like quarter teaspoon of the black pepper, yeah.
Okay. Well, a teaspoon or half a spoon?
A quarter teaspoon. For your cup of tea, yeah, quarter is fine.
Okay, that's all right.
But we could talk about the concoction after. I'm seeing Leah's here. Hi, Leah. I know it's getting late in England. It's like what? It's probably what, midnight?
Yeah, just gone from the quarter past.
Yeah.
Paulette's doing very well. Paulette, you're exhausting yourself today, my friend. I tell you.
Yes. So let me get Paulette to go to bed. But just want to thank everyone for the amount of engagement today. It was wonderful. For all the comments. And this is why we have the conversations, just to go back to like Charita's question about bringing that awareness. Having the conversation, someone listening may say, okay, listen, I haven't asked my partner how he's doing in a while. Let me check in. If that helps one person ask the question, then we've done something positive, right? So I'm just really grateful and thankful that Paulette is back. We get to have these conversations. Thank you, everyone who's listening live and on the replay. In the next 2 weeks, we will have a speaker coming on to talk specifically on andropause and his experience with it. Hopefully, we can get his partner to come on as well, so we could get how they work through being in andropause. I'm not sure if she's in menopause as well. I'll have to find out, but it certainly will be an interesting conversation. So join us again next 2 weeks, 5 p.m. Eastern, for another wonderful conversation about menopause. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Paulette.
Paulette, I was abused without you. I'm just saying.
I was very nice. I was too nice. I'll have to make up for it.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrating with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.